All right, let's go. Oh, Kirk is in the house. All right, so the way that this often happens, welcome. We are here for our community call where we just hop on and I give you a quick update on all things happening inside the community and in the world of AI as I see it. And then we'll open it up and I'll basically give everyone the opportunity to unmute themselves. And if you have a question, very simply, you could just raise your hand and we can go through any questions that you have. It's a free for all. You could either have a question or an idea. One thing I'll encourage you to do inside the I Love AI community is the opportunity for you to submit a talk. So coming in January, we already have a few people lined up, but ideally this call becomes less about me talking for 20 minutes and then opening up for Q&A, but giving each one of us who choose to accept the challenge an opportunity to get up in front of a safe and kind audience and have an opportunity to present whatever topic you like. I firmly believe that you get better at something when you teach it to someone else. And there's tons of us here hungry to learn the things that you are learning. So I always say embrace the idea that you are one chapter ahead in something. Everyone I think has value to share, whether that's from how you manage your day to the AI models that you're using and testing. Even if you see someone else present on a model, feel free to submit it. The way you do that is going into the community. And when you look at this event on the calendar, you will see a link in that invite that will take in your information. And that's just so that we can choreograph all of the people who want to volunteer to speak. It's a lightning talk, so less than 10 minutes. You can take as much or as little of that time as you need. And we'll be doing a few of those every Friday. So it's your chance. If you have a cool idea, a new product, if you're working on something, if you have a blog post that you want to talk about, like, doesn't matter what it is, we'll give you 10 minutes of the floor to share what you know. There are only a couple of rules. One is that the information does need to be geared towards helping the people in our community. We just passed 1,200 members, which is pretty exciting. And I keep saying this, but I keep delaying it. But eventually, I will be setting up an opportunity for people who don't know about us to discover us. Right now, you all are, even though we're at 1,200 people, these are 1,200 people that I know. So we will soon be bringing in people into our organization and into this beautiful, amazing community that have never met me in person, that only know me online. But I like us to, I always say, if you see something, say something. I'm pretty careful about who I let in here. If we happen to let in a bot or just someone who doesn't understand what it means to be in a community like this, we do gracefully ask them to leave. If it's a bot, I'm less graceful. But if it's a human and they're just, trying to sell people stuff in the DMs or trying to, just be really not cool. All I ask is that when you're here, that you abide by our policies, which is you can definitely invite us to go take a look at a post that you just posted, or maybe you just did a tutorial video on YouTube. You can send those links in. Just no blatant self-promotion, no cheesy sales conversations like, hey, buy my thing for $9.99. And just be authentic and real with people. We're all here trying to do the same thing, and that is elevate our skills in artificial intelligence. And I assure you, even though right now you might think that you are brand new to this space, or even those of you who've been in it a while, you don't feel like you know enough, you already, just by being here, know more than most. And so that gives you an opportunity to just take a little tiny little piece and share it with us on these calls. So thank you all for being here. Oh, Bryce made it today. Amazing. Tara, good to see you. Eve, Joe, awesome. Leo, nice to see you as well. So as you come into the community, you're welcome to say hi and light up the chat. We are broadcasting today. I try to do it every time, but sometimes it's better than others. But if you are open to it, you can also ask your questions. The best thing to do, though, is to the best thing to do is to look around, right? Look right, look left. These are people in our community. Obviously, as we go into the holidays, we'll have less people here. This is my favorite part of my week. I had lots of calls today, lots of conversations with clients, with collaborators, with partners. They were incredible conversations. But no matter how cool the people are that I talk to during the day, I 100% look forward to the coolest people in the world, which is our I Love AI community. So great to have you all here. And I'll share with you a little bit of what's happening in my world just to give you a sense of some of the momentum I'm seeing going into 2025. And hopefully that will inspire you as well. I will remind you that when you come into the I Love AI community, there is a onboarding process. It's in the classroom. And that onboarding process will teach you how to level up in our community. I recently found out I went to go and mail the winners of last month's leaderboard competition, and I realized I didn't have anyone's address. I also, you might know this because my name is Noelle, that I love Christmas and I love New Year's. I love this whole holiday season. And so I'm going to be sending out a form if only if you choose to accept the journey. I will give you an opportunity to submit your address to me, and I will send you a Christmas/New Year's card. And I will also include with it a couple of the cool stickers that we give out when we go on site at events. And it's just a way for us to connect. And then if you're one of those people who's like, oh, I have to send one back, feel free to send one back. I love Christmas cards. They're kind of a lost art. I'm one of those people. You won't, maybe you'll get one of these, but I'm one of those people who like writes the letter, right? That you have to read, that says like, I have 6 kids. So you can imagine what this letter is like, right? One child moved away, another child turned 18, the other one is in 2nd grade, the other one's in 4th grade. We have 2 2nd graders actually, one in 2nd grade in one school, one in 2nd grade in another school. Anyway, so I update everyone on the inner workings of our lives, and you get to get updated on all the kiddos, and there's a nice family photo. I don't typically present like my family on social media, so most people don't know what, unless you've seen me speak, they have a moment of glory on the very first page of my presentation because I want to thank them for letting me do what I do every day and empowering me to do what I do every day. But other than that, I don't really give updates to, those lines barely cross. But the one time of year that I like to update people is around Christmas. So you'll see that in the community if you feel so moved. I would love to add you to my Christmas card list, and be able to then send you things like stickers and t-shirts and all that. So please feel free to do that when you see it. Some other things. So the onboarding process that happens, I'm actually going to close this out now that I have it. Yes, I was testing out the whiteboard feature. I don't know if you all saw that. Hopefully you did. But in this session today, I wanted to share with you a couple of things that we've been working on. The first one, this week was a pretty busy week. I almost forgot like what I did on Monday. But this week we had a couple really cool sessions. One of them, we did the AI Live Learning Lab. So this is what's special about our premium community. So you're all in the free community, the I Love AI community. You have to be in the community to be here. If you're watching this and you're not in our community, it's because you're watching it on live stream. But if you want to be in the room where it happens, this is a group where we all kind of come together. And like I said, in about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, I'll unmute you all and you all can ask any questions you have about the content or about just AI in your daily lives. It's also a chance to share some of the cool things that you're working on and anything you think would be helpful to the other people on the call. But earlier this week, we did our live learning lab in the AI Leadership Institute, and almost everyone got access to being able to deploy an agent on Microsoft Copilot Studio. And we talked about the 5 Ps of prompt engineering and how to build an AI safety system inside the context of an agent. And this is a very cool skill to have. I will be doing another one in January just because of the nature of the workshop. Lots of people wanted to be there. They couldn't make it this week. So we're going to do another one, and then we're going to record it and make it available on demand for people who want to do that. If you're not in the AI Leadership Institute, that's okay. You will have a chance to just buy a single pass into that class if you want to. Otherwise, all of our workshops are available as part of the membership in the Institute. Those include also access to some of our more sophisticated classes. So another thing I did this week was a webinar on public speaking. So this is close to my heart. I love doing it. But I think a critical part of becoming a good leader of not just humans, but of machines is learning how to have clarity of thought and clearly articulate what you want to do. In the world of prompt engineering and talking to AI systems, this is a critical skill, communication. Warren Buffett actually says that you can increase your value, your net worth by 50% just by learning how to clearly articulate what you want in the world to the people that can help you get there. And I think we have a ton of people in this community that can help you get any of your dreams, purposes, missions accomplished. But you will need to say it out loud and commit to doing it and follow the guidance that we talk about here and become someone who doesn't just talk about something, but actually puts their feet to the floor and takes action in the direction of what they want to accomplish. But in the world of AI specifically, artificial intelligence, machine learning, specifically language models and large language models, they are completely trained by the use of our clarity of thought written into word or spoken into word. I wanted to give a shout out to Yuvika. I think she was the one who gave it to me. She's not here yet. But Yuvika earlier today on LinkedIn, if you're not following each other, now's a great chance to do that. If you want to throw your LinkedIn into the comments. I encourage you to connect with each other if you're not connected already. But this gives us a chance. So Yuvika, for example, she demoed the new phone service for ChatGPT that you can make a phone call to ChatGPT and talk to it. I also demonstrated this. I don't know if I created a video, but I called the service and then I asked it to email me the results that it came up with. I asked it to text me the results. And I'd imagine maybe they haven't set up SMS because it's like, absolutely, totally will text it to you. I never did get that text. And I was pretty, like, I'm sure I did. I gave it the right number. It repeated the number back to me. I'm like, great, sounds good. Never got a text. So I'd imagine that's a bit of a hallucination that happened. I encourage you to test it out. If one of you get that to work, that would be awesome. But I thought that would be amazing, right? If I call ChatGPT and ask it some questions, I should have asked it to email me because it might have been able to do that. But when I asked it to text me the results of our conversation, I did not get that. So a little bit, I mean, it's in beta perpetually. So we have some stuff that we can work on, but pretty cool technology to be able to just open up a telephone and call it. I also think it increases the accessibility of the technology, right? So they announced that recently. Satya Nadella announced a very cool capability for those of you who are software engineers or want to be software engineers. GitHub Copilot is now available in the free version. Last year, I was the beta tester on GitHub Copilot during COVID. I was actually the beta tester on an OpenAI model called Codex, which eventually became GitHub Copilot over time. So I've been involved in this model for a long time. And fun fact, when I originally started working with Codex and GitHub Copilot, I actually thought it was terrible. I thought it was a terrible idea to collect a bunch of code written by people who didn't look like me or sound like me or think like me, and then make that the default that you stick in my code, right? I was like offended. I was like, this is wrong. Like, I don't want your code. I'm an artist. I build good, like unique code. Here's what ended up happening as a result. So that was my approach. Now, I have been doing this emerging tech thing for a long time, over 25 years. And back in Y2K, 1998, 99, I started teaching people how to use object-oriented languages to complement what they had already built in COBOL or Fortran, these precision languages that were running mainframe systems. And fun, I remember back then, 20 plus years ago, I would be like, hey, let's use a integrated development environment, which is basically like Visual Studio, right? Like, or VS Code, right? So these types of tools. I'm like, let's use a visual development editor. It'll be great. And they would tell me, oh, no, 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 no. I am much more efficient. I am much better as an individual using like a text-based editor, Emacs or like all craziness. And I'd be like, How is that even possible? And I literally was the person who was convincing, old dogs to do new tricks. Like, I know what you're doing right now is working for you, but try this new thing. It will elevate your productivity. It's exactly, except I was on the other side. I was the old dog in this scenario where I was like, I don't want to use this tool that's going to basically regurgitate 20-year-old patterns in software engineering into my code. What I realized though, over time, is I was like, in the first 6 months of using it, I used it every single day. I built hundreds of applications. And I was like, okay, I see what's happening here. Is that the things that I do, the art that I do, the development, the engineering that I do, is not in the scaffolding logic, is not in building, for example, a Java application and setting up like the main and the all of the different types of architectures that I need. Like the architecture, I could care less about building. It's the logic that I wanted to focus on. And that's when I was like, oh, I see what you're doing there, GitHub Copilot. So I really started leaning into leveraging Copilot to do the scaffolding work for me. And that is very powerful because no one is happy building code. Like, what are they at AWS? When I worked at AWS as an engineer, they had a phrase that we would use with customers, and we would call it undifferentiated heavy lifting, undifferentiated work. And that's literally what I want to like hug an AI system and say, thank you for doing this for me, is undifferentiated work. Why would I do that? If it's undifferentiated, it doesn't make any difference who does it. Why wouldn't I just delegate it to a machine? And so this is an incredible opportunity. So now right now, and even if you've never built code before, I would go and download VS Code. I would install the plugin for Copilot and just watch the magic. Go through a tutorial, handheld. Awesome. So Joe says, hi, Joe. Thank you for being here. ChatGPT Plus. Yeah, exactly. So it's leveraging its codex model, which is basically N+1 of what you'll see in Copilot. So they're very, very similar, but they are different. So you'll see weird behavior changes there. But yeah, it 100% helps you build stub code super fast. Like I used back in the olden days, I used Content Assist, which was like, I could hit like control space, and wherever I was in the line of code, it would give me its prediction of the next best possible way to end my line of code. But it wasn't an AI system, and it wasn't even an algorithm. It literally was, you typed in these two letters and it did this kind of Ajax. Do y'all remember Ajax? Good times. Anyway, it was like this Ajax predictive drop down that would come up and say, I think what you mean is this. And so it was extremely efficient. If you learned how to use it, I would control space. 60% of my code would be just control space, enter, control space, down, down, enter. So I used that as a vehicle for me not to have to think in my brain which model from which package, which which function, which class. It allowed me to automatically get it. And if I saw it, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's the one. So it just reduces the amount of mental like cycles that I'd have to use to build software. And I thought it was really cool. Right? Aw. Yes, Ajax, awesome. I'm a big fan. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in enterprise Java, so that, and I say grew up, but I mean, I cut my teeth as an engineer in enterprise Java in the earliest days, 1996, 90 through 98 through Y2K. And I love those technologies. I'm so glad I learned Java as my first language because it helped me pick up. I now know probably 6 different programming languages, and they all became easier to pick up because of what I learned in Java. I guess it's kind of like learning like Latin. If you learn Latin or maybe any Latin-based language like Spanish or French or something like that, right? If you learn that language, it becomes easier to learn other languages like it. I feel like Java was really helpful in that way. Awesome. Okay. So that was an announcement. So OpenAI released Sora this week. What else happened? OpenAI also released the phone-based ChatGPT. Satya Nadella announced GitHub Copilot being available for everyone. Their goal, there's about, I don't know if you know this, but there's about 25 million developers across all languages in the world. Their goal, if you heard his announcement, their goal is to get 1 million. 1/23rd, 1 million or 1/25th, right? They just want 1 million people using GitHub. And I was like, well, that's kind of small, don't you think? But here's the fun, like, coincidence in that statement, and I'm sure it's very intentional on their part, is that they already have a huge developer market share around a very specific language. Does anyone know the language at Microsoft that is like their bread and butter? I'm sure some of us do. I agree, Eve. Sora is amazing, is amazing. That's right, Joe. Exactly. No, not yet, Raquel. But oh, it's a good point. I'm so glad you said that. So C sharp is what it's trained. I mean, it's been doing C sharp for a long time, right? Or .NET even, right? For a very long time. So it's built this entire developer base that knows this language. However, in 2018 and 19, I was there during this time, we started to deploy AI models inside of Azure Cognitive Services. So we were deploying models that any developer who knew any code at all could implement an AI model. And back then it was a superpower. If I could just get a developer to believe that these AI models were functional, they could do things that would take them hours, if not days or weeks to deploy on their own. It was like magic. I was so excited about cognitive services when they first came out. I was like, every developer should use these. Now we're seeing a little bit more adoption, but it's even still today, not nearly as much. Developers don't use enough AI, not to write their code, but actually to perform business functions on their behalf. It's now an API call away. But during that time, 2018 through 2019, we started evaluating how did people want to learn and use these services. So we had a bunch of dashboards to measure the API calls that were coming in. And Python, to your point, Raquel, Python ended up becoming the fastest growing API in Microsoft, which at the time was a little unnerving, right? For hardcore Microsofties, right? Because they're like, well, we're going to, and I remember having the conversation, we need to prioritize. We can't do all the things. We have to prioritize the languages we're going to deploy first for these new models that we're building. And Python, on a data driven, like looking at the data of how many people want to use our models, Python was the number one requested language, even though the lion's share of developers that were curated and created inside Microsoft were on .NET and C Sharp. So it was fascinating. That's right. And Bryce, you would know, right? These olden days of software engineering. um, not so long ago, but kind of a long time ago. Feels like a long time ago. So it gives us a chance to really think about, you know, the reinvention of work. So yes, I actually would say now that Python is the number one used language for deploying Microsoft models. However, their biggest developer base is actually in the language they created, which is C Sharp and .NET first, then evolved to C Sharp. So pretty cool. Yeah, Sora is fantastic. So if you've got access to Sora, they've been having, I love it when OpenAI does new things. I think they honestly get surprised about how effective how effective their market penetration is, right? Because every single time they end up crashing their own servers, right? Where they're like, oh, we've got too many users. We can't take on new users right now. So one of the things that I teach, so in that onboarding class that I mentioned to you all, in that early onboarding class, there's 5 classes in it. One of the principles of responsible AI is this concept of robustness. And so this will be the last thing I kind of teach, and then we'll open up for questions and comments. But robustness is a surprising tenet of responsible development. And the reason why is because you're going to build an AI system and it's going to be amazing. It'll deliver value in new ways. You will reinvent the way people do a task. Fantastic. But if you do not build a robust system, and when I say robust, I really, at the minimal level, mean elastic, scalable, right? That if you get a huge amount of requests, you can elastically scale your infrastructure. And when you don't need that information, when you don't need that infrastructure anymore, you can automatically, based on demand, shrink the infrastructure. So it grows and shrinks based on demand, automatically, no sysadmin required. This is exactly how, so I have over 100 applications that I built for Alexa. Some of them are extremely popular. I think 5 of them have like 25,000 5-star reviews on the Amazon Alexa store. I know some of you are like, Amazon Alexa has a store? So go check it out. But these skills, like when we started, I had no idea who would ever call mindfulness on Alexa. As a matter of fact, everyone around me told me nobody would ever call that. Nobody ever needs mindfulness in the kitchen. How wrong they were. But mindfulness, kindness, Christmas kindness, like there's a skill right now. This skill during this time of year for the last 10 years, it gets this exponential hit because I'm one of the only skills that are dedicated to the Christmas experience. And this one will give you random acts of kindness to do on Christmas and through Christmas holidays. And I add to it all the time, though I could use generative AI, I guess, to randomly create stuff, but it's things my family actually does. And so I loved that about the way that I built that skill, and it served me well. But that being said, right, I built all of these applications for Alexa. And in doing, like, building these types of systems, I mean, that was like, what, 10 years ago. To this day, those applications are still able to grow and shrink with the usage of those skills. My Christmas kindness app, it's going to get 200,000, 300,000 hits a day for like 5 days, the whole year. I'm not going to build, this is what we used to have to do. We used to have to build an infrastructure to support us on our best day. Otherwise, if we didn't, our system would crash, which is what happened to Sora. Our system would crash under the pressure. So gratefully, cloud infrastructures like AWS and Azure, right, created the opportunity to do load balancing and scaling. So when it hit a certain threshold of utilization on the server, it would automatically spawn off a duplicate server and balance the load. Here, I mean, this is, again, I think an important thing to think about as a cloud or as a AI architect and AI solutions architect, as someone getting into the world of AI, is it's not just about models and predictions and data analytics. It's also about everything we've learned up to this point. It's about cloud architecture. It's about elasticity, load balancing, like all that becomes critical. And I say that because there's companies that I have witnessed, so sad, build amazing, super cool AI, deploy it, launch it to the world. And because they didn't think about this elastic scale, this well-architected solution, because they didn't architect the cloud solution very well, it ended up crumbling under the pressure. And for example, for airlines, a bad situation got worse. I don't know if you've ever been on a phone with an airline when you've been holding for over an hour and their systems crash and like your call gets dropped. It's not awesome. You can just watch Twitter on these days. It's like they or the X. They blow companies up. Like they're like, this is terrible. This is terrible. Oh my gosh, exactly. Yeah, I try not to call out potential customers, but yes, them. I mean, honestly, some of the biggest airlines as well. Allegiant is kind of a local provider, but yes, exactly. This is what happens. And again, it's not because they weren't trying to help. It's not because the agent was like, huh, that's what I used to think. I'm like, you hung up on me. And now I realize being an architect in these systems, I'm like, oh, you actually literally didn't expect 15,000 people to call you at the exact same time until your system crashed. So in the olden days, like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I guess maybe even 10 years ago, we used to do things like disaster recovery. Do you remember disaster recovery? Some of us were around where we would sit in a company and fake, like take everything down. Do you remember this, right, Raquel? Oh my gosh. Like we used to spend our weekends taking everything down and then kind of like clocking ourselves to like get everything back up and running. What? I like think about the nonsense that we did back then. But again, this is why it's a principle. When you build an AI system, you need it to be resilient. You need it to be robust. And that robustness ultimately comes down to your knowledge of cloud architecture. So I know you love it when I do this, but yay, we get to learn another thing. If you don't already know a little bit about the cloud, great. You can do that over the holidays. Pick up that skill. But yeah, really, really interesting. I'm looking, oh my gosh, exactly. I was not in a data center, but I was working for IBM. So that's so cool. 100%. I always say on my keynote stages, I'm like, this is the first time the world was going to end was Y2K. And because of people like myself and Joe and and Raquel and Bryce, because of us, like you're welcome. The world did not end. I don't know how much critical like mass I had in that, but I definitely was up to the end, like a couple hours after, waiting for the other shoe to fall. And of course it never did because, and that's how I sleep at night. I'm like, we did a great job. We saved the world that day. So so anyway, a lot of the lessons we learned from then apply right now. Like I always tell people, I got into the world of tech and got very involved when the world desperately needed people in this space. And guess what? We are in exactly the same time frame right now, except we desperately need people in the world of cloud data and AI. Like it's the same. Businesses will fail if they don't get these skill sets. So that's why it's critical. And that's why we do these calls. That's why the classes we do in here are free. We open it up for Q&A so that we can make sure that you have everything you need to learn on your own. This is a do-it-yourself plan. I don't know how many of you have had an opportunity to see, I've been publishing the 12 Days of Christmas. Throw a Christmas tree emoji or one in the chat if you've seen my 12 Days of Christmas. I would love to know if it's hitting, I don't control the algorithm, right? So I just publish it and hope people see it. Oh, good. Joe found it. Yay. So Joe has seen it, and hopefully some of you. Okay, great. Raquel as well. So it's out there. I will be reposting them inside of our community so you can see all of them. Every single one of them has an asset that I use for my clients. So there's an ROI calculator, there's a marketing 90-day AI marketing checklist, there is a book that I've printed this book. It's 44 pages. I don't know if I have a copy because I always give them away. But it's like this big, 44 pages, and it's literally like step by step. Where are you? Oh, you're in deployment. Here's the instructions, right? And it's a checklist that it's not really a checklist, it's just guidance. Like here are the things you need to make sure you've thought about as you go through these steps of using AI in your business. And so I gave that away for free in an electronic format. I think, my favorite was, I'm gonna tell you, but my favorite one, recently, I think it was yesterday, no, day before yesterday, I shared something I haven't shared really for a long time, but one of my favorited videos in my own YouTube experience, one of my favorited videos is this series from, Stanford when Andrew Ng was a professor and he was teaching machine learning. It was back in like 2013, maybe. I don't know. It was a long time ago. And it's funny because when I look at it, it doesn't look dated to me, but I recently was watching, I showed it to someone, and they're like, oh my gosh, when was that? 1998? And I was like, I guess that does look old. So it's kind of dated, but that's one of the gifts that I gave. It's a whole series. They literally recorded the entire course and made it free. A Stanford machine learning course taught by Andrew Ng online. And all that stuff is, it's science, right? So it doesn't get old. It doesn't expire. It's pretty decent to walk through. I loved it. I thought it was really cool. Oh, yeah, awesome. And so Sherilyn just threw in what I did yesterday, which is a security blueprint. This is hugely valuable. I have delivered this this is like stuff I get paid by clients to deliver. And so I put it I did anonymize it and I took out some of the details, but the structure is there. And honestly, I think what I provided plus a chat GPT, it could probably fill in some of the blanks pretty nicely. But I did it because I want people to realize the value in number one in giving. None of these things I'm charging for. The last 2 days will be paid opportunities. So one is my book. My book is coming out March 11th. So thank you to everyone who offered to provide feedback and who offered me a sentence or two to put it on the book. That was super awesome. So I got 7 people that are on the book, on the, that part where it says accolades for Noelle. So that is going to print. We're in the last production review right now. That'll go to print and be available March 11th. I also got picked up to get an audiobook created from that. So that's super exciting. That will happen about 6 weeks after we launch in March. But it's available for pre-order now. And of course, I'll be running a bunch of different specials and promos to get cool t-shirts and have time one-on-one with me. So if you want to be part of that, just stay tuned in the community. So let me think if there's anything else I wanted to chat with you about. I think that's all the good stuff. There's always good stuff happening. We've got lots of really interesting collaborations coming up in the new year. For those of you who weren't a part of it, we did do Speak to Scale, which is public speaking on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we did the live learning lab on on building agents in Copilot Studio for Microsoft. And last night we did the 5th of 6 conversations around building an AI consultancy in 2025. And it's been, I mean, like I said, I give you my best stuff because I want you to be successful. But we also last night launched and announced the ability for people, if you actually want handholding, if you want to, and I mean that in the best way, right? If you actually want to sit with somebody and build the assets, create your marketing, develop your go-to-market strategy, and even have someone partner with you on calls, sales calls. Like there's an incubator to help with that process. And so that's launching in January. And we gave that link out last night. And so you'll see all of this content is inside the classroom. So you can go and take a look. One of the classes is the AI consultancy. So you'll see all the previous webinars if that's stuff that you're interested in joining us for. So really cool stuff. All right, so now's that time of the call where I'm a little bit early, so that's good. Normally I talk right up to quarter till and a little after, so I'm glad I'm watching the clock because I want to make sure, and I can always tell you more things that have come up, but hopefully that's a good recap of some of the things we've done, some of the things we're doing, and some really exciting momentum going into the new year. Next year, we'll still have this call, or next week, we will still have this call. I will be using it to teach a module that we'll end up recording and putting in the classroom. So the first 20 minutes will be me teaching a responsible AI topic. I kind of did a little bit of that today with robustness, but I didn't do it for that purpose. I just did it because I want y'all to know. But next week, we'll spend that time in the beginning teaching this is one of the requests I got from new members of the AI Leadership Institute community. They're like, what if I don't know anything about this? And I was like, oh, that's a good point. So I'm going to teach kind of a 101 topic at the beginning of every one of these. Then if you want to, you can join the stage and teach your thing for 10 minutes. If we don't get any takers on that, then I'll just open it up for Q&A and we'll talk the rest of the time. But if you have any comments, questions, now is your chance. I'm going to just give you the opportunity to unmute yourself if you want to. Do not feel obligated. It's just a chance for us to talk. It's the thing I like most about our community calls. It's just an opportunity to like connect and say hello, talk about what we're working on. I know some of us are pre-launch of some exciting activities. If you're working on a product and you want feedback, or if you're opening up an opportunity to bring on design partners, like this is an amazing community of people that you can leverage. Next week, we'll probably have less people because it's Christmas week. But like I said, I loved talking to you all. I love having an opportunity to connect with you. So if you want some one-on-one time with me, like come on over. All right. Let's see. I think almost everyone is allowed to talk. Almost. I'm working on it. Oh, darn. I asked you to unmute, Tara, but I thought I didn't mean it. But I mean, you can, but I didn't mean it. All right, awesome. So if you haven't seen the 12 Days of Christmas, Sherilyn, we will create a classroom inside of the I Love AI community that has a page for every one of those gifts. And if you're curious about any of them, of course, you can ask questions in doing that. Any questions, comments? Yes. Who was that? Somebody was talking. I heard you. Oh, okay.
Sherlyn.
Oh,
We
hi,
will.
Sherilyn. Yeah.
So we will create a classroom on iHeart community for the
The 12 days of
12
Christmas.
days Christmas.
Yeah. And
Okay.
we're only up to 7, but it's a great way to like collect them all. Cause last night I was like running around trying to click on them. So that would be great. I think that's a
Okay.
good idea. It will be helpful for everyone. And then you can also see how I build my funnels. So for those of you who are interested in like, how do you build awareness for anything that you're doing on the internet? My engagement on my post went up 16,000% since I started this sequence. And I was a little worried because I'm emailing 10,000 people every single day. I was a little worried that I'd lose subscribers. Like they'd be like, for goodness sake, Noelle, like I'm done with you. And the reality is I did lose a few subscribers. I lost like 3 subscribers over the last 7 days, but I gained 23 subscribers. So it's all good. Like I'd rather lose people who don't want these types of valuable, like it might not be for them. They might have joined my list when I wasn't doing anything, or when they, I had no value. And now that I'm giving these things, they might not even be in the world of AI. So it's a great opportunity by giving people value to identify those people that you want to draw into your ecosystem and into your community and your audience, and even repel people who don't want that content. Like I am not unhappy that those people unsubscribed. I'm actually glad because I don't want to like inundate you with content that you don't think is valuable. Um, but I also found that I'm being discovered by more people. So it all worked itself out. So never be afraid to kind of just do you. Because this themed sequence is 100% Noel. Like I came up with it as an idea. I'm like, 12 days of Christmas. And I looked at the calendar and it was like day 13. I'm like, I could start it tomorrow. And I had not planned it or anything. I make these things up every single day. Like today's, I haven't made it up yet, but I'll come up with something. I might talk about, I don't know. I have no idea. If you have ideas of things you want to hear from me, you could let me know. But I'll make up something. I've got lots of stuff in my experiences that I can draw from. And I think you all do too. So never don't doubt that your unique experience will be interesting to the right people. So that has been my experience so far. Um, That's awesome, Leo. Yes. Again, welcome. And I'm like your friend. Like, I'm not the AI leadership lady. That's too funny. Leo we go back before I was the AI leadership lead. Amazing. All right. Any questions at all or comments? I would love to have some of you join us up here. I know it could be terrifying, but there could be a safer spot. If you're worried about joining us and becoming like teaching a little lightning talk for us, it is possible that I will not live stream you to 40,000 people if you don't want me to. I could just do it to our little community. Next week might be a good day to do it because next Friday we'll probably have kind of a smaller group. Typically these calls get 40 to 75 people on them. So that, think about it. Think about it. I think it'd be great. And again, I'm not doing it for me. I don't, obviously, I like to talk. I don't mind sharing with you what I know, but it is Warren Buffett says like the number one skill to dramatically increase your net worth is to learn how to communicate, to get good at communicating, both written and verbal. And so anything I can do to help kind of scoot you into the world of communicating what you're doing, how you're doing it, like this is your chance. And like I said, we'll all support you no matter where you are in that journey. And it's how I became a speaker. Like I was not great the first probably 6 years that I did it. But I did it for audiences that cared more about me than what I talked about. And that was really powerful. Great, Kirk. Thanks for joining up. You can talk. Can you unmute? I hope you
Yeah,
can.
I think you're
Yes.
unmuted.
Awesome.
So on that topic, it's kind of cool. I actually, thanks to you, the AI leadership lady, started using ChatGPT, and through the conference that I met you at, got kind of a good or a better understanding of how to use it. And I'm really new to all this stuff, and I suspect there's some others here like me, but I was working on a presentation. I'd been giving presentations, and they'd go 45 minutes to an hour, and kind of like now, I kind of very conversational in my presentation method. And I wanted to create something that was more succinct and more intelligent sounding. And so I worked with use ChatGPT to create I condensed my presentation down to 10 minutes last night. And it was really cool. And I actually played it to people on my team, and they were like, "Oh my God, you sound so smart." And I was like, "Well, it wasn't really me." But what I really
But
found,
it was like you
well,
trained
yeah.
that model.
But what was cool with the experience is I could go back and forth with ChatGPT, and it almost became a friend. Like it'd give me some stuff, and I'd be like, that's not quite what I was trying to get at." And it'd be, "Oh, okay, great. Well, let's try this." And
Yes.
it got really cool to have that back and forth and get to where what I really wanted to say in my head, and the words still showed up on the paper. It's like, that's what I want, and I put it in there. And the cool thing was is Chat GPT doesn't get frustrated with how many times you ask it
Exactly.
to
It's
do
never like,
something different. And it's always like, "Oh, okay, great, no problem, this is cool." And so it's like people are getting tired of me talking about how great Chat GPT is now, and I'm just excited because it's new to me, and it's a lot of fun, really. And
I love it. And I mean, yes, that's true in like the circle that you're in, but like one step outside that, people have no idea. Like they're just
Yeah,
like you, 2 months ago. Like there are so many people who don't like they've heard of it. Everyone has, thanks to the Super Bowl and commercials, like everyone knows what AI is, but it's that moment when you use it and it does something and you're like, wait, oh, this is awesome. Like they
yeah.
have this huge moment. That's why learning by doing is so important. Like with AI models like this specifically, like it only gets cool when you actually use it. And then you're
Yeah.
like, this it just changes your whole paradigm.
Yeah. And you can go back like topics that you were talking to it about a week ago, it remembers. And I
Yes.
can go back and say, oh yeah, we were working on this. And it just builds on all of that in the thread. And it was just really cool. I was blown away. So now I'm like creating all these cool presentations and
Awesome. I love it. Well,
yeah.
if you want to do one of your 10 minutes for us, we will take it.
All right.
I won't volunteer you or voluntold you, but you're welcome to. I would love it.
All right, cool.
Awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, one of the things I do like about so of course I'm making up these 12 days of Christmas, and ideally I would have like planned it out and they would have been sequential and somehow connected to each other. But I will instead just be like, okay, ChatGPT, so here's what I've done. What would be the next logical thing I should talk about? And it would give me some good suggestions on like, oh, you should talk about risk. You've been talking about all the happy, good sides. Talk about the dark side of AI. And I was like, oh, good idea. And then I go and I, look in my little hopper of things that I've done. But it's awesome because it remembers every day that
Mhm.
I go in. I could be like, okay, I'm on day 7. What did I do on day 3? And it'll go back and be like, oh, here's what we, came up with for day 3. And I was like, oh, so it's really good. I love it. It is literally a design partner for me. Um,
Mhm.
and there's a little bit of shame still in like the workforce. It's weird. Like there's this weird, like, did you use ChatGPT for that? And I'm like, yeah, you did it. Like, but I am
Totally.
battling a little bit of that in certain kind of certain cultures, right? Inside companies where that'll all go away, right? As people understand the value of it and what it can do on an individual level. But right now, there's sometimes those little pockets of like, really, you cheated, and I'm like, cheated? No. Because as you knew, like, it's not like you put it in once and got an answer. Like, you have to like coach these things.
Right, right.
So it's a
Yeah, I
skill.
actually had a session last night where I was trying to line up the scripting for my slide with the bullets on the slide, and it was totally out of order. And I actually had to go in and show ChatGPT where it was out of order, and then it fixed
Yep,
it.
exactly.
It was
So
cool.
this is why I've been talking about AI leadership as like you need to become an AI leader, but it's not just so you can lead humans, it's actually more so you can learn how to lead machines because that's the future. Like we're
Yeah,
gonna, most of us will remain independent contributors, but now be given the opportunity to kind of enlist machines to do certain tasks. And our our patience, our ability to kind of like coach a model along to getting the right results, that's going to be kind of the super skill, I think,
yeah.
moving forward. Yeah,
Well,
really
and it was
cool.
directly from your workshop that I had the idea that I could coach ChatGPT to do that.
Awesome. Yay.
Yeah,
I'm so glad. Did you see we got covered on ABC News? That was so fun.
I didn't see that.
Yes,
Did I
I'll
see
send you.
that? Maybe I did.
I don't know, but I didn't put that in the community either. So I'll post that so you all can see it. It was a big moment for us,
Oh, cool.
where our bot builder workshop got featured on ABC News in it was awesome. I was like, this is amazing. And now I'm working with that anchor. We're gonna actually I'm gonna be on a panel with her in CES. So it's amazing how these things like all work out. CES is one of my favorite events. So that January 7th through 9th, I'll be at CES delivering a couple of sessions. One, I am hosting a panel for the future of work, and I'm going to have like the CTO of Zendesk and the news anchor from ABC and a couple other people. And then I'm also hosting a creative session on in the Creator House, which is all about artificial intelligence. So it'll be fun. I'll definitely keep y'all updated as we do it. Great. Yes, I would love that. So definitely, Joe, I'll take you up on your willingness to be part of that. I think it would be great. Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then you can show everyone it doesn't hurt. So that'd be awesome.
Well, I don't know about that.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's focus on presenting this as like, it was awesome. I loved it. Everyone should do it. That's cool. I would love to hear what you have to say about that as well. And Bryce, yeah, of course. Yes, you're right. Words are terrible. So I would always tell it not to use words. And then I'd take the video and import it into Canva and add the words as an overlay in Canva. And that's not necessary. Like you won't have to do that for long. Like it's going to get better, but it's because it's not a diffusion, like the diffusion model is not a LLM. Like they're two separate things. And so because of that, it's just frustratingly ignorant about how to put words together. So you can get there, but it's
to make a book cover, and I just like 50 times I'm like, no, spell it systems, and it just can't do it. Yeah, the model just
no. So what you'll want to do is say
words,
you're
not
creating a
make
book
words.
cover, but don't have any words on it. Then extract the book cover, put it into Canva, and then you can write your title on it, and that's much better. Yeah.
All right, but it's
Yeah. I mean, again,
can you guys click that link?
that's a good question. I clicked it.
I just did what you said. I made a storyboard prompt on chat. And
Yeah.
the Sora, and it rendered a few times in the storyboard, and then it made the video.
Cool. Except the words are all jacked up.
But it's pretty high res. I mean,
it looks great. So one of the people I was talking to, they were a commercial trucking organization and they had a very specific type of truck. Now, I don't know anything about commercial trucks, but I got in front of them and I went into Sora and they gave me the name of the truck and I said, create a commercial vehicle. I want to see them, on a highway demonstrating the features of, and I typed in the brand of that truck and I gave it the color. I said I wanted one white, one blue. I gave it the colors. And it generated a video of these trucks, which would be very hard and expensive to do. Very specifically, these like types of trucks on the road, riding down the road in the colors that I suggested. And it happened in like less than a minute, right? Like the executive I was working with was like, oh, this changes everything. Because now you can dynamically create content for social media in minutes that is extremely hard and expensive to create otherwise. So I don't know. I can hear my son in the back. Like he's not, I'm just saying, like I hear his voice in my head and he's like, what about the creators? What about the photographers? So anyway, something to think about.
yeah, you might want to, my daughter was joking. She's a freshman in college, and the computer science kids, I guess last week during finals, chat was down or something.
Yeah.
And they were all freaking out because they're using it to write code and they actually don't know how to write code anymore.
Yo, that's hilarious. It's kind of like when servers go down and you need or like cell phone towers go down, you need directions to get somewhere and you have no idea where you're going.
Yeah, so she was like, well, the big joke now is like, oh my gosh, we've killed ourselves to get into computer science engineering. And they're like, I'm pretty sure this job is going to be obsolete in about 6 months.
Yeah, but they will need software engineering, like they're called SDMs, right? Software development managers, because you'll be managing not like that code will still come out as broken, if not more broken than like a human who might have built it. But someone's got to be able to say, yeah, you're on the right track. Just like, Kirk was saying with his presentation, like there's still a lot of coaching that you'll have to do to get really good code. You'll get 70% code, but to get to 100% that's worth deploying, it's going to need humans that know how to do that. So yeah, all engineers will become SDMs in the future.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. Everyone will become, that's why I said like every single one of us will be leading AI systems in the next 3 to 5 years. Like that will be much more prevalent than doing the work. And it will distinguish companies who do this will far exceed from a productivity perspective companies that don't. Like it's going to create this massive divide if we're not careful. Because companies that do this and partner with AI, they're going to be better, faster, stronger. As you saw with presentation, like how long does it take someone to build a deck? Like if somebody doesn't use AI to do that, and somebody else does, like it is night and day. Like you can't even compete. You won't even be able to complete an RFP in the time. Someone's going to be done and submitted, and you'll be on page 2 of 40. It's going to be really interesting. Let's see, Leo. We still need you. Yeah, of course. And yeah, I don't know how non-AI companies, I mean, honestly, that's part of my kind of tagline, right? Is every company is an AI company. And every company has an AI strategy. If you have no AI strategy, like that's your strategy. Like that's like literally you're deciding to tank your business. And if you want to, I mean, that's fine. Blockbuster, Kodak, they all had leaders who knew what was happening and they were like, ah. Like, I don't know, could be a thing, might not be a thing. But now we know those stories, so it's a little easier for me to get into a company. But now that's why building all of our expertise is so critical, because you can then be in a room and educate people, like even just anecdotally on this is a thing, like this is going to change everything about how we work. It's going to change how code is written. It's going to change how invoices are processed. It's going to change how the DMV evaluates driving. Like everything is changing, and it will change. It's changing right now, like right this second. I shared with the AI Leadership Institute call earlier that there is, I'll see, maybe it's still in my clipboard. No. But I was showing them a trend index published by Stanford, all about the kind of the things to be thinking about. And it's really great because it's data driven, right? It'll tell us how many bills are in legislation that are AI driven, how many, it evaluates 17 countries that are all building AI systems, and says how many models are coming out of each country. And if you have heard recently, there's this term that we're hearing, like the arms race of AI. And that's literally the arms race, is who's building the models that everyone else is using, and where do they sit from a political and legislative perspective. Oh yeah, Raquel, I will definitely pull it up right now. I had it in my clipboard, but I'll pull it up right now. So yeah, it's a good, oh yeah, it's right here. I have it at the ready. I like this report. It's also, though, equally as valuable. So this one is the 2024. I actually thought last year's report was even better. So go look at 2023 as well. This is the 2024 report, but let me go find the chat that I can throw this in. There we go. And now I'm hypersensitive to not throw things into the posts and panelists, though you all are panelists, so most of you anyway. That's the report. If you scroll down to the bottom of this report page, you'll see all the previous years, and it's really good, valuable stuff. And if you don't want to read it, ChatGPT it, or better yet, Notebook LM it, right? Go to Google's Notebook LM, pass in this PDF that's freely accessible. It's an academic paper, so you can download it, pass it in, and have it like podcast spoken to you by two very nice podcasters that joke and banter. So just make it accessible, consume the information however you need to. But that is a really interesting report. But like I said, 2024 was good, but 2023 was really good. So I would encourage you to read both of those as well. And you'll see, I mean, obviously 2023 demonstrated what was happening in 2022 and it covered 2022 and 2023. But there were some really critical things that happened that are still coming to fruition now. So that's why I suggest you read it, is that the things they were documenting as a trend, you'll now be like, oh, I see what's happening over here. China, for example, and the model developments, the patent ownership versus the deliverables. So China has the largest number of patents in AI, or has filed the largest number per year. But they have the least number of productized AI. And I've learned, I mean, anyone know IBM? Like IBM has the largest number of AI patents overall. Like they own overall the largest number of patents. They have the least productized AI solutions. Like, I don't know. I feel bad for them a little bit. Oh, good. Oh, good. Awesome. I'm so glad I could be helpful with that. Awesome. Great. Oh my gosh. So good. When I when I uncover these reports and I follow them, I'm like, it's gold. It's gold. It's just like, I think I've shared these with you before, but, well, I'll send you, I have a lot of different links, but in the community, there's a lot of content in there. So don't forget, you can search the chat. So feel free to search the chat because you can find a lot of reports, a lot of academic papers. There's also I think when you get to level 2 in the AI leader or in I Love AI, when you get to level 2, it opens up a bunch of resources, which is 10 of the academic papers that I think are critical for you to. And again, now in the world of Notebook LM, I used to give academic papers to people and feel bad, like, oops, I know you don't want to read this, but you really should. Now you can just feed it into a model that can turn it into a podcast and it becomes so much more enjoyable. Awesome. Awesome. Yay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, and it's also interesting. Fortune just announced we're probably closing it up. Joe has a question or comment. Joe, come on up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as we both were former IBMers, it's amazing how they've lost their brain trust and their patent lead because all of the different resource actions over the years have essentially let all the smart people left.
Yeah. Yeah. And anyone who could help them productize their patents are no longer in the company because they didn't take care of the culture of their company. It's like Google is the same exact way. Google has some of the most powerful patents in AI. We're using them in these other companies. And so Google's doing moderately okay. But if they just figured out how to take care of their people and actually support them to build, it would be it's a bit of a disaster.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So it just shows that as we build things, like how important, I mean, we could build things, we could create smart things, get a great patent, but it's the people that make something successful. It doesn't matter. That's why I'm like, a lot of people are worried about the number of patents China has. And I'm like, yeah, but they also struggle with productization. They've got new leadership though. So the next few years might be different, but in the past, it's been really a struggle for them to productize anything that they've built, which is why they come to the US. So we'll see how it goes, but it couldn't be a more exciting time. I do want to remind you as we close out the call that, of course, you have access to the I Love AI community. Please take a look around. If you have anything you want to share, you find an article, you uncover, a report, anything like that, please feel free to publish it. You can tag me in it so I can find it because sometimes I get in there and there's so much stuff going on, I can't find my own stuff. So tag a few of your friends that you see on this call, and anyone else. The more we work together, you'll realize certain people are in certain areas. I know there's some people in the tax profession, some people in landscaping, some people in real estate, some people in healthcare, some people in insurance. So when I post content, I try to tag people accordingly. We also just finished our December last of the year bot builder certification. So congratulations to everyone who took that and got certified. So 7 more people to add to our beautiful collection of bot builders, responsible AI bot builders. And starting next year, we've recorded it in studio. So starting next year, we're going to be running that on demand. So anyone can take it and get certified without actually having to sit in class at a certain time, which really was a limiter for a lot of people. And I felt bad. So now we'll have that on demand. We'll also have building agents in Microsoft Copilot will also be available on demand in January. So those are some things to look forward to. So that way you're not bound. A lot of people in our community are all over the world. Don't forget, some of you didn't do this yet, but don't forget we have a map. If you go into the quick links, inside of our community, they're on the right-hand side, I think. There's quick links that'll allow you to put yourself on our map, but it's also in the onboarding section. So if you go to onboarding, it's in the introduction one. I think it's step 1, introduce yourself. It'll say, put yourself on the map. So this is just nice because when I go into a town, I can be like, oh my gosh, people are here. So I'll be in Vegas on the 7th. I will be in Scottsdale, Arizona on the 20th through the 25th. I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia in February. I will be in Portugal in March. So there's lots of, and those are just the ones I remember off the top of my head. So if I know you're in a town, we will make it will be my mission for us to have something, grab a coffee, grab a meal, take a selfie, and more importantly, just, get some real FaceTime. Oh my gosh, what? All right, cool. Awesome, Raquel. I will ping you. And maybe we can, yes, thank you so much. So you can see the community map in the comments here. below. So thanks for spending a little time. I hope you found the time valuable. It's really just a chance to realize you're not alone in this journey of learning AI. We are all over the map, from very, very new to very, very experienced. And we all care about each other, which is a beautiful thing. I don't see this in any of the companies I've ever worked for. So I just created it myself. If you know anybody who would want to be in a community like this, please, it's free. So they can apply. And you apply by just joining, and then I see your information, make sure you're not a bot or someone hurtful. And then they can join us here anytime. Feel free to spread the word. We want as many people to learn this technology as possible in a safe and, psychologically safe way, right? Ask any question. We're here for it. So thanks to all my mentors out there that help everyone else in the chat and throughout these conversations. And have a great weekend. And I probably won't see you until after Christmas. So have a great Christmas, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody, and happy holidays. Yes, happy holidays.